Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CoLab, SpacetoCo's free monthly online sessions designed to assist those working in community venues to learn, upskill, and be inspired to do their work more effectively and efficiently. We hope you find these sessions useful for the important work you do in our local communities. For those of you who are watching this recording after this live event, hello, and we hope that you get valuable knowledge from the session. My name is Carmela, and I organize these monthly learning series. Just a little bit about SpacetoCo before we move on. Our mission in SpacetoCo is to help community venues be a thriving hub in their communities. We do so by providing opportunities to be able to grow bookings, increase community engagement, as well as support. We also create and provide free resources for those working in community venues. SpacetoCo is a two-sided marketplace where you can list your spaces where guests can find and book them online. It is also an efficient booking system tool where you can reduce your admin by 80%. We work with a number of local governments as well as community centers across Australia and New Zealand. So today's session is Reimagining Community Learning, How Digital Games Can Power Up Your Center. So imagine your community center running weekend sessions on disaster preparedness, financial literacy, or local wildfire, powered by playful, science-driven digital games. In today's session, we will explore how browser-based games, QR code scavenger hunts, and AR/XR experiences can transform community centers into vibrant spaces for education and connection. Today, we will discover what kinds of digital games can be run in and or around a community center, how these experiences can support intergenerational learning, the potential to deliver themed workshops on various topics, how to run games with minimal setup, tech, or ongoing costs, and a look at games already used by councils and government agencies and how your center could offer them too. Today's speaker, we are so lucky to have Melanie Langlotz. She is a trailblazer in the world of educational games. As the founder and CEO of GeoAR Games, she has spent over a decade creating free, playful digital experiences that support real-world learning, used by councils, schools, and government partners across Aotearoa and beyond. Her studio develops mobile browser games, QR code-based scavenger hunts, and immersive AR/XR experiences that cover topics like disaster resilience, sustainability, and biodiversity. Now, Melanie is turning her attention to community centers, believing that they have the power to become hubs for interactive learning across all ages. With a background in creative technology and social impact, she brings fresh thinking to how digital play can support lifelong learning in the places people already gather. So welcome to the collab, Melanie. So I'll just pop Melanie on the stage. Hi, Melanie.
Oh, hello, kia ora. Hi from Auckland. It's raining, it's stormy. I really do hope we're not going to have a power cut. But I also have my colleague Holly Franklin with me, who's just come back from Europe, where she talked to a lot of international universities about facilitating play. So I'm hoping that she's going to get a chance later on to talk a little bit about her experience around facilitating play. I will share a PowerPoint, presentation. So let me just make sure that I can see that. Okay, does that work? Can everybody see the first slide?
Yeah, we can see it. Yeah. Thanks, Melanie.
Okay. Awesome, fantastic. So we're a very unusual game studio in the sense that we've been around for 10 years and we've always developed games with community in mind. And we've been very much developing games with the community, not for the community. That's a really important differentiation where you include the community in the game development. And so basically, we are a Games for Change studio, or a game studio that drives social impact. We started out with geolocation augmented reality, hence the name GeoAR. It stands for geolocation augmented reality, but we are far more than that. And over the years, what happened was that we realized that we were really very much set out to work with government and university and with scientists around the world. So by now we're specializing in games around climate change, culture, all things around, safety, indigenous cultures, and all of our games are funded by councils and government agencies or government departments, often universities as well, applying for government grants. Funny enough, all of our games are free to play and designed to bring communities together in public spaces. And this is normally where people ask us, so how do you earn your money? How do you, generate revenue? And it is through government grants, through university grants, and through cities paying for event activations or facilitating other form of interactive experiences, mostly within park spaces. But as you will see, there is a wide variety of how you can use a lot of our free games for community interactivities. Now, unfortunately, Kamal and I just realized that the sound is not working, so there isn't much point in playing
We
the
create
video. So I'm just going to go straight.
Actually, Melanie, it was working. It was working.
It was working.
Oh,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, I'm
Yay.
We create games for a brighter future, to help people thrive amid climate change and disaster, to celebrate culture and history, to explore sustainability and human rights, inspire the community to learn and explore, to unlock understanding and connect us all to something bigger. GOAR, the future is playable.
Fantastic. I'm really glad that worked. It at least gives you a little bit of an idea what we do. So we do a lot of things, and I won't have time to go through every single game that we've ever made and that is available, but I'll give you a quick run through our website so you know how to find the games and how you can look at what might suit your community to set up a play activation event. And we're very happy to help with that. Okay, so why does it matter what we do? We're a Games for Change studio. We're very passionate about driving change for the better of society. And we kind of feel, even within the space where I live, so I live in Huya in Auckland, which is West Auckland, I know that our community spaces are not fully utilized. I know there could be more that could be done to bring communities together. And the other thing that I also realize is that working with government, they pay for a lot of very incredible engagement activities, but they don't necessarily know how to get it into the communities in a meaningful way. So this is where there is an opportunity for a community to pick up some of the content that we have generated with government and bring that into their community. The games that we've done, a lot of them are played by schools. A lot of them are part of the curriculum. They are very diverse. So sometimes, even though we may have developed them for a younger age group, they're very suitable for families, for anyone really interested in the topic. The key thing is that it is reinforcing government messages. And I do not think that it necessarily matters whether it is the New Zealand government that paid for something or the Australian government that paid for something, because essentially the messages around climate change in particular are always the same. And so there is a lot that we can learn and from each other. And the important thing also is that everything is fact-checked. That is definitely something that over the time we've come to value, especially in the time now where there's a lot of fake news out there. So here we've got a game that is the first one that I wanted to introduce, which is called What's the Plan, Stan? What's the Plan, Stan was developed by the New Zealand Auckland Civil Defence and Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and together with the New Zealand Earthquake Commission. And essentially what we did is we developed a 3D browser game that so anyone can play it on a normal laptop, and it's a fun little game that has 6 levels. a volcanic interruption, volcanic eruption, which is obviously not so much a subject for Australia, but floods definitely are. Storms are. We've got a pandemic level. We've got we've got tsunamis. The landslides are part of the flood. And then if the player gets through all of those levels, then they get rewarded with a zombie apocalypse. And the zombie apocalypse we decided to put in there to reinforce the idea that don't leave anyone behind, take care of your family and your team. And it was something fun to encourage the students to play through every single level. But the point of this particular game is to learn what needs to go into a grab bag or a getaway bag or a getaway kit. It's a really fun game. And just to give you an idea, so we've done a little curriculum on our website that, and I'll show you a little bit more later on once I'm going with everybody through the website and to show you where to find the videos. But this is, for instance, some of the curriculum content that would be on the website so that you can take it and you can play it with the community and then start asking questions, you know. So what are the hazards that you can find in each of those sections? What's dangerous? What do you need to look after or need to look for? What needs to be in your grab kit for a flood? It's a very relevant topic at the moment, as you can imagine. So this is freely available. Takes quite a while to play. It's very engaging, and the kids absolutely love it. So then here we've got another one. And I've cherry-picked a couple of games to give you an idea. So the emergency preparedness game, for instance, could also be themed or packaged up with some of our flood games that we've got. We've got other flood games that were done together with NIWA around sea level rise. So this could be an entire package where we could say, you know, okay, we're doing an entire 2-3 hour session with the community just around emergency preparedness and flooding and climate change and what does that mean. This one is a different one. So we love our scavenger hunts. And Captain Green or Kapene Kakariki, we've got an Australian version and a New Zealand version. And this is something fun where you don't necessarily have to have a permanent physical station set up, as you see in this photo. It could just be printouts that you hang around your community hall or your library or whatever. We did a really fun one for Matariki, where we laminated some of the posters with the QR codes and we hung them around the park. And the families had to go and find the various hidden laminated QR codes. And so in this particular game, which I will go into a little bit more later on as well, the player downloads the app, then finds the different QR codes, and each QR code unlocks something later on. So again, you'll see a video a little bit later on, so you've got an idea what that is. But scavenger hunts are great if you want to get your community looking for things like an Easter egg hunt. You want them to learn at the same time, and you can do it indoor, you can do it outdoor. Our community hall has got quite a nice green space where we can set up quite a lot. So it's really awesome for something like that. So we've got indoor, we've got outdoor. And then we have something like Magical Park, which you may or may not have heard about. This is an augmented reality playground that requires quite a large park space. So if you do have a large park that is adjacent to your community hall or your library, this is perfect. It's a great way to run along activation events. Because as you can imagine, it is an invisible playground. It is a little bit difficult to point people to where to go and how to play. So it is great to combine it with an activation event outside, maybe in summer or in the evening times when it's not quite so hot. Here's a little image of what that looks like. So this is actually my park here in Huya. And you can see when you look through the device, all of a sudden you're in Australia in the outback, and you see all sorts of animals from Australia. And the kids can learn about facts about the various animals. Okay, and we've got so many different games, as you will see. So we've got one which is about the sand flat ecosystem. So if you are close by the beach and you happen to have a sand flat, we have a special game just for that. We have Stand Tall, which is an inclusion game created with the New Zealand charity IHC to really foster and introduce financial literacy for those young people who may be a little bit more challenged with living independently, maybe because they have Down syndrome or autism or any other reason. Quite frankly, we've been finding that it's great for any teenager. Cat Angels Triumph is a game that we've developed to really get people to understand why it is so important to microchip and desex cats. So we'll have a look at that too. And so essentially what you can do with the host of games that we have, you can host themed event days, like for Climate Action Week or Get Ready Week, when you have an emergency preparedness week. You can do discovery trails and change them out and work with us on topics. Or you could even kind of like try and create a geolocation version that works with an activation event for Christmas or for Easter or for your holiday period, whatever it is. And so for a lot of our games, we have marketing material already created, which you can basically just grab from us, print out yourself, and then we help give you facilitation packs that walk you through how you need to run a game session with your audience. How do you do an activation event? So you can talk to us about whichever one you're interested in, and we'll walk you through. And so the way we see this working is basically you could trial a free game event with us, in your space. You tell us what space you have. You tell us how long you would like the event to last, what sort of community you would like it to fit for. Maybe you have already a topic in mind. Maybe it is around climate change, or maybe it is around financial literacy, or maybe it is around, anything with animal welfare and encouraging your community to desex and microchip the cats. Whatever it is, we can work with you and develop a facilitation strategy. And there is an endless number of things that we've done over the years. So we're really here to help. So that's kind of like a little bit around, my slides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end here, and I'm actually going to go to our website. And so let me just reshare. And okay, that looks like it. Okay, cool. So now you should be able to see our website. So our website is geoar.com, and under those tabs, you have one tab that's called Projects. When you go onto Projects, you will be able to see that there are numerous icons for various different games. But to make it a little bit easier for you, we have a filter here. So you can, for instance, say, I'm looking for browser-based games because this is going to be indoor for a library, or indoor for a community event. You might kind of like say you want something that's outdoor, which would be more your scavenger hunts or something else. And so I'm going to introduce you to a couple of things to have a think about. So let's start with What's the Plan, Stan? So What's the Plan, Stan was the browser game that I mentioned earlier on. I'll just see if I can play a little game here. So we're right inside the Flood game. This is the augmented reality version. You can play that in a part as well. And so this is just a short little introduction. Ah, yeah, here comes the Flood. So we have that as a browser game and as a augmented reality version. And basically the kids have to learn about each individual. While they do see that items that go into their getaway kit. There might be a bottle of water or a raincoat or food or whatever. There's the backpack that they need. And so that they grab goes into the getaway kit. And so the good thing about that is, now how do I get back out? Oh, yeah. So the good thing about that is basically that you can then ask, for instance, what needs to go into your getaway kit? What do you have to collect? And you can work with the kids or the families on being more active and more aware of what they need to do. We've also got a website, which is goir.com/what'stheplan. And under here, you can basically see who worked on this. So you see there's the government allocations, and then how to play. And it gives you all the different things that you might want to ask the community. What do you do during a flood? What do you do during a storm? What don't you do? What should be in your getaway kit, and so on. So this would be an example of something that we would prepare for you if you wanted to run a game event. So now let's go back and have a look at what else we have. Another great game is, so we've got an entire series here of the NIWA games. So all of these 3 games, My Coastal Futures, Township Flood Challenge, and Future Coasts Aotearoa, are games that teach your community about climate change, rising seawater levels, but also storms, and how to keep their towns safe from flooding. This is an interesting game. The last 2 games are multiplayer or single player. So I'm quickly going to have a look at the last one. This is the most recent one that we have published, Future Coasts Aotearoa. And so you see we've got here a little town. That town has been completely flooded. The river went over the banks. You can see the landslide in the background. It was hit by a cyclone. And you can see the different levels here is the danger zone as the sea level rise is going to start swallowing up the town. Now, this is based on scientific data. This is not something that we've made up. I'll just quickly show the video for this one here. So this is a great example that basically shows what options a town has to think about preparing for flooding. Should it be a stop bank? Should it be environmental solutions? Should it be something else? And it has a huge amount of information embedded in the game. This is obviously not a game that you would give little children to play. It is more for adults. It's a great game to bring high school students and adults together to discuss how to prepare their town for flooding and how to think about climate change. It would go really nicely along if you had a speaker that wants to talk to that topic as well from your local environment. So, and there are 3 games. So, you can basically set up 3 different laptops or a variety of different laptops, or even ask the community to come and bring their own laptop, and then have a multiplayer game. And so in this particular game, you can play as a dairy farmer, as a kamatua, an indigenous leader, a farmer, or an urban townspeople person. And it's really interesting what we've been finding within the research, because a lot of people are still a little bit unaware or in denial of how sea level rise is going to affect us in coastal areas. So this is a fantastic way to engage them. It's really great. And we've done large facilitation events with even construction companies and with large businesses. It's a great topic. We talked about Kapene Kakariki, so I want to show that next. So Kapene Kakariki, or Captain Green, this is where we have an Australian version and we have a New Zealand version. It's a scavenger hunt, and I'll just quickly play the video so you can see how that works. Whoops, let me go big. So as I said earlier on, the scavenger hunts are being played, where is it there? The scavenger hunts are being played either because you take the QR codes and so these QR codes here that are on the posters, and you hang the posters up just as printouts, or you laminate them and you hide them somewhere in the bush for the kids to find. Or, you know, if you wanted to have something more permanent, then, you know, we can set up permanent station signs. But the idea is basically that you get the kids out to play and to learn about facts. And so each, as they go around, each poster has 3 facts. And inside the app, there are another 3 facts, but they're different. So even if you just read the posters, you learn a lot. But if you use the game to play, you learn even more. And every single time you have scanned a QR code, you are collecting something that goes into your rewards room. So for instance, if I scanned this poster from the fantail, I would collect the fantail, and the fantail would go into my rewards room, which is that large area that you just saw. And so we've got one for Australia, we've got one for New Zealand. They are meant to be permanent trails, and in which case, you know, like this is where we need to actually work with communities or with councils to put them together and to see where the funding comes from, because some of the content needs to be generated. But you are welcome to use the existing library or the existing content that we already have to do a quick scavenger hunt with your community. All right, then another one that and we talked about Magical Park, so I'll just quickly go to Magical Park and then I'll talk about a few other ones. So Magical Park, if you remember, is that augmented reality playground that is invisible. So you need an activation event and signage. You need quite a large park space to do this. It's great if you run it as an event together with something else, like maybe for the holidays or maybe for Christmas. But will just quickly show you the video so you get an idea as to what this is. So let's go back to the beginning.
Experience it.
Okay.
Experience it for the first time, just looking at it and going, whoa.
And it's, oh, wow.
Got them running around, and it was wonderful.
They're probably covering kilometres.
Really good for their well-being.
She ran around for about 45 minutes.
It's really good for your brain skills.
They are excited, they want to do more. It's awesome.
So cool. So Magical Park, you know, we can give you quite a lot of information on that one. And, you know, we love organizing activation events with our communities and, you know, see how we can combine a lot of things together. So with Magical Park, we're also working on a scavenger hunt version for that one. So now let's talk about financial skills. And then I'm looking for Stand Tall. There it is. So this is the financial literacy game that is just absolutely amazing. I love this one. And it was a literally 3 to 4 year development. We're currently looking at Stand Tall 2 to take it to the next level. It was initially developed for young people with Down syndrome, but then it was extended to young people with autism, with Asperger's, and eventually we realized that all high schools wanted to have this game and just play it. And so again, I'm going to see if I can grab that little video here, because it probably tells you the best about what it is and how it works. Now I'm just trying to, it's not letting me, not letting me play the video, sorry. Try that again.
With us. No, Mai Hoki Mai, welcome back. Lovely to have you with us. A new game app is being developed specifically for young people who are neurodiverse or living with an intellectual disability.
It's called Stand Tall, and it teaches them to do just that, from managing their own money to navigating moral dilemmas as they work towards living more independent lives.
These young people are learning vital skills by playing the game of life.
It's a life simulator for when you've just moved out of home and all the challenges you might face along the way.
Stand Tall teaches gamers about budgeting, what to expect from flatting.
No one eats my chocolate fudge ice cream.
I understand. And how to know when someone might be taking advantage.
The 4 other flatmates have got very different personalities. One of them, Peter, is a bit of a trickster. He might kind of like play a couple of jokes on you, which is our introduction to scams.
There's everything from financial dilemmas to moral ones.
I ended up breaking a cup, and I was pretty low on money. And it's just those decisions that are quite difficult. They seem very easy, but it's very difficult.
For those whose mission is a more independent life,
it feels like real.
It's a game changer.
And for more on this, we're joined by...
I'll leave it at that, but that gives you a bit of an idea. So Stand Tall is really great if you want to kind of like bring the families in maybe over the school holidays and discuss a little bit of finances and budgeting. Really cool. And then the last one before I wanted to kind of like start opening a little bit up to questions and give Holly a chance to talk about her experience around facilitating play is Cat Angels Triumph. So Cat Angels Triumph was released this year. It is specifically for desexing and microchipping cats. It is not what we call a cozy game. It can have some very dire consequences. If you make the wrong decision in the game and don't take your cat to the vet, for instance, the cat might die. So just quickly going to show you. Cool. So that's Cat Angels Triumph, another free game that's been developed to really kind of help explain to people, especially after COVID, why it is so important to spay and microchip. And it's been really driving the message home. We had a lot of testers, we ran a lot of workshops, and people really learned a lot. Even if they were already cat lovers, they still learned a lot around understanding when to take the cat to the vet, what are the sort of things that you need to do if you see a cat that you think is lost or stray or whatever. And it's been really helpful. All right, so I think at this point I would love to hand over a little bit to my colleague. She's kind of like been pulled in by me without much warning, and only because Holly's just kind of like come back from Europe. So I thought, Holly, do you want to talk a little bit about play?
Sure. Absolutely can do. So thanks, Mel. I love watching you do our overview of our games because it reminds me of how much good they do in the world. So one of the things I want to talk about is play as a tool for kind of community engagement. Because one of the things it allows people to do is explore topics that they may have questions about or feel a little bit nervous about in a really safe space, particularly when you're facing community resilience in the face of flooding or emergency management. These are things that can sometimes be really tricky to talk to kids about. I've got a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and kind of trying to approach topics with them in a way that makes them feel engaged, makes them feel safe, and kind of helps them learn is something that is really powerful. So bringing games into community spaces to talk, catch them on my lap, to talk about kind of tricky topics becomes a really powerful thing. And doing it as a community, I think, unlocks some really cool, powerful kind of local learning opportunities. I'm not sure kind of how much more you want me to speak about, Mel, but I can talk about what I just came back from. So recently I was in Germany for the International Simulation and Gaming Association's conference. And they are big on using tabletop games, specifically to talk to policymakers and community groups around kind of civil issues, everything from urban planning to tackling climate change and the sustainable development goals. And so we can do that using a lot less time because digital games allow you to access that information, that content a lot faster. And, it brings people to the conversation in a way where they feel like they could have a little bit of agency in making decisions within the game anyway.
Absolutely.
Did you have anything else you want me to touch on, Mel? Or should we throw to questions?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be quite keen on questions as well, but I think one of the things for some of you listening, you might be wondering, so how do I set that up? Maybe, whether you feel computer literate or not, whether you're a gamer or not. Essentially, you need a couple of devices, a couple of laptops, at least for the indoor browser games. And I would probably almost ask the community to bring their own. And just make sure that you have enough power boards, where people can plug in, set up a bunch of tables where they can sit together and talk. Because one of the things that we have seen is when we're bringing in groups of people playing games together around a table, they talk. They look at what everybody else is playing, where they're at, how much they've scored, how they scored. So it actually, if you think that gaming is kind of like a lonely thing that you do, that's definitely not right. People talk, people play together. It's very engaging. It really creates a social bond, especially for the young people. It also can get quite noisy, and it really opens the doors, the floodgates to questions. And so for us in particular, when we're working with scientists and we're starting to understand some of the issues that are out there, it's really hard to imagine that the government would spend so much money, for instance, on the NIWA games, but the community doesn't actually know about them because they have a certain amount of people they need to reach from the public, and then they have their research data, and that was the purpose of the game. That is why they are being developed. It's literally just to gather research data for policies. And so the NIWA series is a great example where once they have a certain amount of players from the public, that's it. The game has done its purpose, and it's no longer required as such. So it's surplus, but it's such a great learning tool for any community, no matter what country. And so that's why we were kind of thinking, gosh, how do we let people know about this? How do we let people know that there are so many government games that exist that were funded for scientists to put it into a gamified frame for the community to learn so that they can collect data for research. And yeah, and so here we are. And so I'm really excited that I get this opportunity to talk to various people from the community and who have access to community spaces. Even for my personal community, I'm looking at organizing a gay play event. One of the things that we were thinking about was basically doing a speaking engagement where we're answering questions for young people about what does it mean to work in games? How do you get to work in games? How do you make it a career? And then basically introducing them to Games for Change or serious games, which are educational games. And just basically set up a number of different laptops where they can play and where they can try out various things. Now that is something that we can potentially bring one of us to do a speaking engagement online for your community if that is also something that you wanted to bring up. But the key thing for us is we're really curious to hear what are your biggest issues in getting the community to understand certain messages that you are aware of. So, for instance, even if it is climate change, what are the topics? What are the things that you want your community to understand? In our own community Facebook chat for where I live, I've recently seen a lot of advice come through around storms and floods. And I kept thinking, why are they not talking about the game? Why are they not pushing the game? This is something that we should be doing. So I would really love to hear more from the community as to what are the topics that, you could see yourself organizing an event around. So I don't know if anyone wants to post in the chat, but yeah, we'd be really keen to hear so that we also know how can we make it easier for you to facilitate an event? What do you feel is still needed to make it easier? Yeah, Camilla, do you wanna take over a little bit?
No, that's great. No, first of all, thank you so much, Holly and Melanie. That was such an impressive and awesome presentation. I don't know if you read in the chat that some people have been raving about it or already want to bring it to the community venue. And I'm like, I don't even work in a community venue and I want to bring it to my house. It's so awesome, like all the games that you've even just presented today, and to know that there's so much more. And the fact that this is an free resource, and they're not just games that are fun, but they're informative, and then there's a purpose. And yeah, I love magical parks. I was just like, that's not just a community venue hack, that's a parenting hack. And so just to reiterate to the audience, as Melanie has mentioned before, she wants to hear from you guys. What are some topics that you guys might want to have in your community venue and how to implement them? And also, she just to remind you guys that she mentioned in the beginning of her presentation that she can create a gaming event with you guys. They can provide that for you guys. And so if anybody has anything that they want to share with Melanie, Holly, and the team, please send it in the audience chat, or any other questions that you may have. We did have one question from Alice. She asked, who do we contact to access more information on getting resources to facilitate this at her center?
I think either myself or Holly. So I'll just quickly put our emails in the chat. So this is my email and this is Holly's. And so if you want to reach out to us and let us know, browse through the games that are out there. We have a new game that's coming out, which is actually around indigenous research. So there is more stuff around indigenous IP coming out as well. And I'm just having a look here, Sarah. My charity is already involved in programs around conservation, emergency preparedness, climate change awareness, and empowerment, coastal erosion, community flood preparedness. Awesome, so much. I can't believe I've never heard of those government-funded games. Yes, exactly. And this is the thing. So what happens is that the government funds science games, and because they're only needing to serve a certain amount of research, they never put any marketing in it. So there's never any marketing plan linked to any of those games. They exist, they're being built for thousands and thousands of dollars, and then they die, and nobody knows about them. So that's why, you know, we wanted to take this opportunity and let you guys know that that is available and it is there.
Yeah, awesome. As also, for those of you who are watching, whether live now or after the session, we will be sending all the resources, the link to the website, the contact details for Melanie and Holly, and also even Melanie's presentation, if possible, like to you guys after this session and the recording of the session, so that you guys can reach out to them easily and also explore the website in your own time. And one other question I had actually was, have you had any feedback? Because we've seen in one of the videos, we saw one of the feedback from the game testers or even the kids who were playing Magical Parks. Have you had any feedback from other community venues or councils that you've already worked with who've applied these games into their venues? And what have they had to say about implementing GOAR games into their sessions, into their venues?
So far, we've only done it in combination with some of the government departments we have worked with, or it is done by a facilitator who, for instance, like there is a dedicated facilitator for Stand Tall who goes from school to school and, you know, teaches the game basically, or takes schools through the game. Because we're a small game studio, we're very much relying on some of the government departments to facilitate their own game activities. We can certainly help. We have run some of our own, and it really depends on what is needed. So, for instance, NIWA, we've developed a facilitation with them for the flood games, and that was extremely well received, just by construction workers, you know, who didn't understand how much sea level rise and flooding was actually an issue in the future. And I think for us, working with NIWA, the hard truth was understanding that the data that they have about sea level rise and climate change is much worse than what you see in the game. So it's quite frightening. So it is really important that people are being educated through the games and that they get their hands on it. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that you guys can help us spread the word.
Yeah, for sure. And already we're seeing great feedback from people in the audience. And so we're hitting the end of our session. Once again, thank you so much to Melanie and Holly. This was so informative and so awesome. What a great session for the collab this month. And for those of you who are still here tuning in, feel free to send Holly and Melanie your love through the audience chat. But other than that, I will take over this session and then just end and wrap up. So take this off. Awesome. So just like Melanie and her team, SpacetoCo offers free resources to all of you who work in community venues. This link will be sent once again to the post-session email that you guys will be getting in the next few days. Please take advantage of it, make use of it to help you guys in your work in your community venues. And also, we just wanted to say thank you again so much for tuning in. We hope that you guys can tune in to next month's collab session. But other than that, we just wanted to thank Melanie and Holly once again. And yeah, have a great day, everybody. See you guys in the next collab.